What an amazing day in the Premier League to decide who is going to finish in the European spots. I'm going to go into each game that we've seen today. Liverpool defeating Tottenham, Chelsea defeating West Ham, and Brighton defeating Aston Villa. Let's go into the games, talk about each club, where we think they'll finish, what's going to happen now, and where the form will take them towards the end of the season. Aston Villa were expected to beat Brighton today, but ended up losing 1-0 in what was actually quite a flattering scoreline. They probably should have lost by a lot more than that. Liverpool beat Tottenham 4-2 in a very entertaining fixture in which Liverpool were by far the elite team. And then Chelsea beat West Ham 5-0. Chelsea with two really, really convincing performances in a row against two top half Premier League teams. It seems like they're turning the corner and Pochettino is actually starting to get the best out of those young players. But let's start with the Liverpool game. The last game to kick off, the last game to finish. For the first 60 minutes of this, it was literally all Liverpool. Tottenham didn't get going at all until, as I said, about the 60th to 70th minute. 4-2 really was just because Liverpool took their foot off the gas, but they dominated in this, and Liverpool really needed a game like this. For Tottenham, they have been atrocious. Had a really tough run of games. Newcastle, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool. 4 really good clubs, but you would expect Tottenham to have got something out of that. To get no points is really, really poor. And I think one of the worst things about it is the last 2 fixtures, they have just been atrocious. Chelsea absolutely dominated them in a game which I know Chelsea always beat Tottenham at Stamford Bridge, but you thought there'd be more. There'd be more of a competition in that game. And then today, same case. Liverpool are coming in after some turbulent times at the club. Salah has been falling out with the management, talking about fire if he speaks. And Tottenham, it felt like an opportunity after Villa losing to Brighton. They needed a couple points today and just never, ever looked like they were going to pick any up, other than the last 10 minutes where they looked decent. But yeah, Liverpool absolutely bossed them around the park. As I said, it could have been probably 5 or 6. Salah was fantastic. He scored the first goal and was left completely open at the back post. I don't know how you can not mark Mo Salah. I know he's not been in the best of form, but you should still at least have a defender on him. Robertson scored second to make it 2-0. And then going into half-time, there's an argument between Emerson Royale and Romero, which really doesn't look good. And I think after 4 losses in a row, going in 2-0 down, you can see why there's a bit of anger between the players, a bit of animosity. Vicario runs over and breaks it up, but you can imagine the dressing room's not a positive place to be in at the minute if you are a Tottenham player. And then you come back out in the second half after getting absolutely ran around the pitch, and Gakpo makes it 3 in the 50th minute, which just resumes normal practice for Liverpool. And then Harvey Elliott, who has had a very, very good season for Liverpool, curls one in from the edge of the box to make it 4-0. That's it. Game, set and match. Tottenham do coming back into it a little bit. Richarlison got a goal, which was nicely worked from Tottenham, but it just meant nothing at this point. And then Son got another one, which again, it's a good finish from him, and it makes it 4-2 with 15 minutes to go. But from that point, there's a bit of a penalty shout, but even the Tottenham players don't really dispute it. And that's it. Game over. Liverpool guaranteed top 4, but we already knew that. And Tottenham, to me, now are out of the race for top 4. So they'll be playing Europa League next season. They are 7 points off of Aston Villa with a game in hand, but they've still got Manchester City to play. So for me, there is absolutely, even if they win the other 2 fixtures, there's no chance now that Tottenham get 4th. And if anything, I think there's a sneaky one that could happen. Newcastle could end up in that 5th spot, in my opinion. I think Newcastle might leapfrog Tottenham because they have been in incredible form recently, scoring a bunch of goals. And I feel like now they're not in Europe anymore and don't have that to concentrate on. That's what was playing them at the start of the season. No injuries to speak of, no European football. It's looking like they're going to do it. And we'll talk a little bit about Chelsea because 5-0 today against West Ham. West Ham really aren't having any luck against other London teams. And in fact, I've had a few embarrassing scorelines to go off of. Obviously, it's David Moyes is going at the end of the season. I don't know how much of this is down to him, though. West Ham, in my humble opinion, have overachieved a little bit. If you look at the teams above them, Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Villa, Tottenham, Newcastle, Chelsea, and Manchester United, West Ham sitting 9th currently. I would expect all of those teams to be above West Ham. So I think if you are a fan of theirs, you know, you got to the quarterfinals of the Europa League. You're still 9th in the Premier League, below the teams that you should probably expect to be below. I do understand the identity of the club and the football you want to play is not being executed well under David Moyes, but he's still done a decent job. And I think he deserves to be treated with respect and has brought the club silverware. So as an overall David Moyes' tenure at West Ham, I think you should be pretty pleased. But Chelsea, 5-0. Wow. Nicholas Jackson scoring 2, which means his tally for the season is actually looking very positive now. Still don't think he's a player that can take someone to a league title, but we won't diss him today. He's clearly had a good day. I think Chelsea now should be pretty secure for that 7th spot. Obviously, Manchester United have a game in hand, but Manchester United still have Newcastle and Arsenal to play. So I don't see him picking up full points there. And Chelsea are looking strong. Chelsea are looking really good for the first time this season. I know that there was that Arsenal result not long ago, but bar that, they've just beat Tottenham in a very convincing performance and then beat West Ham in an even more convincing performance. 2 teams who are within 6 points of them, so should be on a similar level. I don't know, if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be feeling real hopeful right now. But what does 7th mean is the question. It's quite hard to work out who's actually going to get in Europe. So because Liverpool won the Carabao Cup, that means 6th place is currently the Europa Conference League qualification spot. However, that can drop to 7th depending on who wins the FA Cup. If Manchester City win the FA Cup, that means the conference drops to 7th. They're already in Europe, which means 6th and 5th would then get Europa League. It's a little bit too confusing for my brain to understand, although it is actually pretty simple. So, as things stand, this is my top 4 prediction. I think it'll be City who end up winning the league, so they will be 1st, Arsenal 2nd, Liverpool 3rd. I think Villa will be 4th. Newcastle in 5th, Tottenham in 6th, and Chelsea in 7th. So those will be the teams that end up qualifying for Europe, and hopefully they can do a little bit better than the English teams have this year, because our European presence is not even felt anymore in any of the European competitions pretty much, because it looks like Aston Villa are going to be knocked out by Olympiacos. Villa are going through a little bit of a rough patch at the minute, aren't they? Is it a rough patch though? Today they were atrocious. They had 2 shots in comparison to Brighton's 15. Villa 1 shot on target, Brighton 8. That's really poor because Brighton haven't been as good this year. So for Villa to get bullied around like that after conceding 4 midweek at home against Olympiacos is a bit of a surprise and not what I expect. But I trust Unai Emery to get him back on track. He's done a great job there. But yeah, let me know in the comments who you think will get those European spots. So let's just imagine that 7th is going to be conference, 5th and 6th are Europa League. Tell me who you think's finishing where. I'll say it again. City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa, Newcastle, Tottenham, Chelsea. That's how it's going to end. Come back to this video and at me and say, well done, Joe, when it happens. But until that point, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe. We put out football content multiple times a week, whether it's roundtable debates, live streams, a lot of shorts, and a lot of just me talking to a camera and waffling about football. So if you're a fan of the game, please become a fan of the channel and subscribe. I appreciate you lots. Enjoy your bank holiday Sunday. Peace.